So this is a fluid situation. Kevin Stefanski speaking as I was speaking to lead the show about what the plan is at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And this was him when asked about Shedeur Sanders being this. Could you imagine? They trade Flacco, and part of this thing is because everyone is focused on Shedeur. And asked him if he's going to be the second stringer at the end of the day.
Decided if Shedeur is going to be your number 2 active quarterback for this weekend yet?
Well, first I'd tell you is the Joe trade took us by surprise. That was not something that we saw coming. You know, they called us, and it happened very fast and happened not too long ago. So still working through all roster type of things. I always have to be mindful of our players and our players' development, and I want to make sure that I'm always doing what's best for our players and, of course, our team. But, with young players, I'm always thinking about last week making the change to Dillon. You have to think long and hard about that because these are young players that you're so invested in their development. So I'll let the week play out and make a decision later on that.
Good answer.
I mean, it's a reasonable, nuanced answer,
well thought out.
But the answer wasn't to snap yes. It wasn't like, we've seen enough from him over the last month. And it's always a conversation. Let's bring in Kurt Warner here. Because, Kurt, you and I talk all the time about this, about when do you get guys who are not, first or second string reps, right? I mean, again, we're going off to London. This is something I bring up all the time around here. It was a couple years ago when we had a Titans game in London, and we asked Vrabel in the production meeting, hey, how's Will Levis doing? He goes, I don't know. Like, you tell me when I can get him out there, essentially. You tell me when I'm going to get him any snaps during the season. So when you hear that answer from Kevin Stefanski, do you think what, Kurt?
I think there's a lot of nuance to all of it. And, just like he said, making the decision to go with Dillon takes a lot of thought. Like, is he ready? What if it doesn't have a lot of success early? Is that going to stunt his development? And then you start thinking, okay, if we go into a game and we've got 2 rookies, guys that have never played at the NFL level, and there are 1 and 2 guys, okay, if we need to go to somebody that's been there before to kind of settle things down when a young quarterback doesn't have his best stuff, which we've all had those moments where we just haven't had our best stuff. And sometimes you just need to make a change and get somebody else in there. Do we want to go to another rookie quarterback in that situation and a guy that's never played in this league? And so I just think there's a lot that goes into it. And it's not always just, him not coming out and saying, well, Shedeur is going to be our backup doesn't mean Shedeur isn't making progress or they're not comfortable or they don't like where he's at. I just think, when he said, I got to think about our team and I got to think about our players and where they're at and what we're doing. If we go, 2 young quarterbacks and, like I said, 1 struggles, well, shoot, we're going to another guy that's never played again or has never played before. And now, we're in this situation as a team going, oh my gosh, are we really in our best situation to have a chance to win this football game? As opposed to having a veteran guy that's been there that maybe can settle things down and it's not going to be their first action in the NFL if they're, put into that situation and have to play.
I'm sitting here on ESPN Radio presented by Progressive Insurance. For those who just rejoined us there on our simulcast, that's the voice of Kurt Warner talking about Kevin Stefanski being asked if Shedeur is going to be his number 2 this weekend and being non-committal and also being nuanced about how he had just learned about the trade just yesterday about Flacco. This hasn't really been in the hopper for long, and he's just reacting to things. But at least Dillon Gabriel didn't struggle mightily last week, right, Kurt? I mean, I don't know what you saw on film coming out of that London game in the stadium you and I are going to be calling a game from this week, Jets Broncos. But what did you see out of Dillon Gabriel, Kurt?
He definitely did look overwhelmed. I don't think it was a great performance, but it, made some throws down the field that were NFL throws, made some good decisions. Gave him a chance to win, threw a couple touchdown passes. So I don't think it was a great performance, but I thought it was a solid performance and something that you can definitely build on. And let me even add to what I was saying, with Shedeur. I think we all know, what a lightning rod, Shedeur has been and his story. And, a lot of people fall on both sides of this thing. We love Shedeur. He should get a shot. And other people like, well, okay, he hasn't shown enough. And why are we talking about him so much instead of talking about Dillon Gabriel? That there may be an element of that to it, whether it's fair or unfair. I think we've seen these things before. Tim Tebow was a lightning rod. And so there came a point, he had some success in the league, but there came a point where nobody wanted to sign him as a backup. And you kind of shake your head like, well, he's had success. He's definitely a guy that can come in and galvanize your team. But I think a lot of teams said, we don't want to deal with that on a weekly basis as our backup quarterback. We want the focus to be on our starter. And we don't want that pressure of people clamoring to get the backup in that type of situation. And so, I wonder if that could be an element of it too, is like, this is Dillon's job right now. And we want to focus on him and we want him to be the central piece. And if he struggles, we don't need everybody yelling, let's go to the backup, go to the backup, go to the backup. And so there could be an element of that plays into this as well, where it's like, let Dillon have the best opportunity to just have his chance to show us what he's capable of, to go through some struggles and us not have to worry about that next piece and that pressure, from that side of it. So, maybe just another element that has to go through Kevin Stefanski's, mind when making these decisions.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.